Alrighty, Shabbat Shalom, Miss Bakah. This is Mori Medei, YAHUAH ben Yashrael. I want to welcome you to another live broadcast of Living Branch. Todah Rabbah for everyone that's joining. We appreciate you for joining us. And we're still on this journey talking about the spirit world, demons, devils, evil spirits, unclean spirits. And so today we're going to I was just led to go down this path. Sometimes you don't always understand, but you follow the leading. And that's what we're endeavoring to do today. So I want to just say Todah Rabbah for all that support us. We appreciate your support, and also your prayers. So today we're going to be talking about Beelzebub. And we're going to find some variations of that. We're going to look at some of the text and kind of do a little research and putting some stuff together to see, just how big of an indictment this was, to say that a person was associated with Beelzebub. So let's start our journey with prayer as usual. And Shabbat Shalom to all the Miss Bakah as they're logging on. And we do have people from all around the world, of course, the U.S. and East Coast, West Coast, down south, up north. We're talking Australia, Germany, Africa, just more places than I even know. Sometimes I'm surprised at the places I get emails from. But all esteem to YAHUAH, we're just trying to reach as many as we can and help, because we know a lot of people are in places they don't have fellowship, so they don't have people they can fellowship of like mind, and that's very important. So we try to provide an avenue and a website where they can come and at least see other people, befriend people, and go from there. All right, let's pray. Baruch Hashem YAHUAH Alahiym Malek HaOlam. Father, we say Todah Rabbah for all of our Miss Bakah. We ask you, Father, to open our eyes, Father, to the things that are taking place in our world. A lot of things are taking place in secrecy and under the guise of good. But I pray, Father, that you expose the evil of this world, so that we can rid ourselves of the things that the world has embraced and all of the abominations that are surfacing and once again becoming a vital part of society. Father, I pray that you would keep us spotless, that you would give us direction, that you would help us, Father, be assertive, but yet humble. Help us to be as wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. Let us not, Father, in our own self-righteousness, think that we are more than others. Because you didn't call us because we were many. You called us because we were few. And you have made us few once again. So we're just humbly before you, in all humility, asking you to continue to restore the covenant of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Restore that covenant unto your people. Restore us to our land. In the name of Messiah, Yahushua, Hallel to YAHUAH. We bless your name, YAHUAH Alahiym, Leolam Va'ed. Hallelujah, Amen. All right, Miss Bakah, let's do some looking here. See what we got. Now, we've talked about Beelzebub when we looked at some other scriptures. Well, when we looked at the Brit Hadashah. So we're going to take it just a little bit further now. We're going to go here and we're going to look at these scriptures once again, because I want you to put some perspective to this. And this particular translation is from the King James. Some of the other translations might be from the Septuagint when we get to the Tanakh or the Old Testament, or it might be from the ESV. So let's just look here. So it says, Matthew 10 verse 25. Is it enough for disciples that he be as his master or sovereign, and the servant as his Lord? If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of the household? Okay, then Matthew 12 verse 24. But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, this fellow does cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of devils. Okay, and then the 27th verse. If I by Beelzebub cast out demons, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore, they are your judges. I mean, you really have got to admire and look at the wisdom of Yahushua. Mark 3 verse 22. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, he hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of devils cast he out demons. But some of them, Luke 11:15, but some of them said he cast out devils through Beelzebub, chief of the devils. Then finally, Luke 11:18. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? But you say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. If I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore shall they be your judges. Okay, so notice that you'll see this reoccurring prince of the demons or chief of demons. And we're going to see when we start going into some of the different sources for definitions, there's going to be like not a consensus of what it actually is. So let's keep it rolling. Now, when you look at Strong's Concordance, and I want you to keep some of these things in mind. Notice that the spelling is a little different in some Greek places. Beelzebub or Beelzebul, and it's referred to as the dung god, the name of Satan. Okay, then if you go to the Greek English lexicon of the New Testament and other early Christian literature, it tells you that it's a Philistine deity. And they say they use the classic name Lord or Baal of flies. And we're going to explore that later when we get into the Tanakh. But notice it also say is the prince of hostility, is a prince of hostile spirits. Then when you look at the Greek English lexicon of the New Testament based on the Semitic domains, the name of the devil is prince of demons. Now, particularly for the next one, the exegetical dictionary of the New Testament, where it says Lord of abode on high. Okay, I think that's interesting. To the worship of YAHUAH, the pagan deities were considered demons whose name provoked destruction. And we're going to read the account that's in 2 Kings, 2 Kings, first chapter. So we'll get to that as time marches on. Okay, now the Kittle, the Theological Dictionary of the New Testament. You know, this part right here, in his reply, Yahushua substitutes the name Satan using Beelzebub. And it's noting that it's two different. Some is Beelzebub and some is Beelzebub. The meaning is unimportant in the New Testament. The God of the mighty ones of Ekron possibly underlying the term. So I'm just noting here that there were two different spellings going on. Then when you get to the enhanced Strong's lexicon, it lets you know that the word is of here is of Aramaic origin. And the additional information here, what the world? Okay, that's not what we're trying to do. The additional information here is Lord of the house. So you'll often try to see where it talks about he's Lord of flies, but we have references Lord of the house, and then down here in the Greek lexicon of the New Testament, Greek English lexicon of the New Testament, a few whom Jerome, in preferring the form Beelzebub, derived the name from Baalzebub. They will pronounce it boob, meaning lords of flies, a false god of the Ekronites, having the power to drive away troublesome flies. And the thought and think the Jews transferred the name to Satan in contempt. So I want you to keep fly in mind. I think fly plays a part, but not like it's being presented when we start exploring this. And what I want you to keep in mind as we start exploring some of these deities and spirits and devils, that they're at work today in society. And a lot of them are not, some of them are out in the open, some aren't. We've got to do due diligence to make sure that we aren't taking on the ways of the nations in the world because they do certain things, we do certain things. We do it because they do it, or because it's an accepted practice. Okay, so now let's read, and we're going to read here from the ESV. Now notice it doesn't have Beelzebub, it has Beelzebub. And I want you to really think now what they are trying to say. Okay, this is the Messiah talking here. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for a disciple to be like his teacher and a servant like his master. If they call the master of the house, now notice the phrase there, master of the house, Beelzebub, as opposed to, and this is of Satan's house, Beelzebub. How much more would they league those of his household? So have not no fear of them, for nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the dark, say in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim on the rooftop. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Now, in my reading, this Beelzebub seemed to have some intertwinings with being able to ward off sicknesses. So what does a sickness or a disease do? And we're going to link this back in when we go over to the Tanakh. And you might wonder why he's putting this right here in context, because in this particular, it doesn't seem like it fits in, but it actually fits in perfectly, because disease and sickness destroys the body. And notice he says, fear not those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who can destroy the soul and the body. So we're going to see how this particular, when this event happened, that bodies were being destroyed. And we're going to get to the event here soon. Bodies were being destroyed. But more than the body being destroyed, our fear should be towards him who can destroy the body and the soul. But rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs on your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. For everyone who acknowledges me before men, key phrase, I will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I also will deny before my Father which is in heaven. So I want you to keep this phraseology right here in mind about acknowledging him before men. Okay, now when we read here in Matthew 12:22, I want you to ask yourself, are they acknowledging the Messiah before men? Or are they denying him? So it's all based on what they are associating him with. Okay, in Matthew 12:22, then a demon-oppressed man who was blind and mute was brought to him. He healed him so that the man spoke and saw. And all the people were amazed and said, can this be the son of David or Daud? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, it is only by Beelzebub, the prince of demons, that this man cast out demons. So what did they do? Did they confess him? I'm talking about the Pharisees. Or did they deny him? Of course, you see very plain. They denied him. Knowing their thoughts, he said, every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and no city or house divided against itself will stand. If Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then will his kingdom stand? If I cast out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons cast them out? So there was some type, they were casting out demons back in those days. Very plain in the text. Therefore they will be your judges. But if it be by the spirit of Alahiym that I cast out demons, then the kingdom of Alahiym is come upon you. Well, how can anyone enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods, unless he first bind the strong man? Then indeed he may plunder his house. Whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. Therefore, if I tell you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven people, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven, and whosoever speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven. But whoever speaks against the set apart Spirit will not be forgiven, neither in this age or the age to come. So I want you to keep in mind, one of the hardest tasks now is holding on to a belief of Mashiach, because you got people jumping the boat left and right. They say everything he is but the son of Alahiym that was supposed to come through the lineage of David. Okay, in Mark 3:20. And I know some of this might sound repetitive, but I just wanted to show you the places. Then he went home, and the crowd gathered again, so they could not even eat. And when his family heard it, they went out to seize him, for they were saying, he is out of his mind. And the scribes who came down from Jerusalem were saying, he is possessed by Beelzebub, and by the prince of demons he cast out the demons. And he called them to him and said to them in a parable, how can Satan cast out Satan? If a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. If Satan has risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand, but is coming to an end. But no one enters a strong man's house and plunder his goods unless he first bind the strong man. Then indeed he may plunder his house. Truly I say to you, all sins will be forgiven the children of man, whatever blasphemes they utter. But whosoever blasphemes against the set apart Spirit never has forgiveness, but is guilty of eternal sin. For they were saying he has an unclean spirit. And we're going to see, by associating him with Beelzebub, why that's so unclean. For they were saying he has an unclean spirit. His mother and his brothers came. I want you to get this part. Standing outside, they sent to him and called him, and a crowd was sitting around him. And they said to him, your mother and your brothers are outside seeking you. And he answered them, who are my mother and my brothers? And looking about at those who sat around him, he said, here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of Alahiym, he is my brother, my sister, and my mother. So this is how the Mashiach thought. If they're doing the will of Alahiym, then they definitely related to me. If they're not doing the will of Elohim, the opposite ensues. They're not related to me. And he was speaking on a different plane. So as we continue this journey, don't worry, I appreciate your patience. We're going to get there. I just need to read this text before we go and explore some more. Luke 11:14. Now he is casting out a demon that was mute. And when the demon had gone out, the mute man spoke, and the people marveled. But some of them says he cast out demons by Beelzebub, prince of demons, while others, to test him, kept seeking from him a sign from heaven. But he said, knowing their thoughts, said to them, every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste. I've read this so many times, you should be able to rehearse this. A divided household falls, and if Satan also is divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? For you say that I cast out demons by Beelzebub. And if I cast out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore, now, this should let you know now, if their sons were casting them out, people can cast out demons today. Do they necessarily have to have a connection? He doesn't refer to any connection with him. He just says your sons by whom do your sons cast them out? So that means your sons must be associated with Beelzebub too. For you say I cast out demons by Beelzebub. And if I cast out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore, they will be your judges. But if it is by the finger of Elohim or Alahiym that I cast out demons, then the kingdom of Alahiym has come upon you. When a strong man, fully armed, guards his own place, his goods are safe. But when one stronger than he attacks him and overcomes him, he takes away his armor in which he trusts and divides his spoils. Whoever is not with me is against me. Okay, whoever is not with me is against me. And whosoever does not gather with me scatters. When the unclean spirit has gone out of a person and passed through waterless places seeking rest, and finding none, it says, I will return to my house which I came. And when it comes and finds the house swept and put in order, then it goes and brings 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter and dwell there. And the last state of the person is worse than the first. And as he said these things, a woman in the crowd raised her voice and said to him, blessed is the blessed is the womb that bore you, okay, and the breast at which you nursed. Now notice this was going on back then, trying to raise up, saying Miriam or Mary was blessed because she bore you and raised you. But I want you to see. So the emphasis here is not where it should be. And we'll find this throughout our society when we start going into, feminism is definitely on the rise. But feminism it's not what should be rising. And this is almost seems what it points to. And look what they did, how esteem Mary. They, in the Catholic religion, they esteem Mary higher than the Messiah. But notice what he says. This is the attitude. But rather, he said, blessed rather are those who hear the word of Alahiym and keep it. That's who I'm looking for. That is what I'm looking for. Now, let's go to a little Hebrew. It's going to get interesting. So, in some of the definitions, we find that it traces back to Baal, and they have it here as basically two words: Baalzebub, or they would say Savuv, Baal of fly, a special deity of the Ekronites. Now it breaks up into two different words. Baal, which is a Phoenician deity, and then the Zabub, which has an unused root meaning to flick a fly, especially. So, in other words, it's like plucking a fly off of you. Is what is combined here to form this word. So let's look at a couple of places. In 2 Kings, 1st chapter, we'll read these verses, but we're going to go back and read the whole text because it's going to help bring clarity. And when Ahaziah fell down through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria and was sick, he sent messengers and said unto them, go inquire of Beelzebub, the mighty ones, or the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. Now notice disease is here in the picture. But the messenger of YAHUAH said to Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, is it not because there is no Elohim or Alahiym in Israel that you go to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Okay, then jump down to verse 6. And they said unto him, there came a man up to meet us, and said unto us, go turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, thus saith YAHUAH, it is not because there is not an Alahiym in Israel that thou hast sent to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron. Therefore thou shalt not come down from the bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. Okay, in verse 16, he said unto him, thus saith YAHUAH, for as much as thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, is it not because there is no Alahiym in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore thou shalt not come down off that bed on which thou art gone up, but shall surely die. Now, when we first read this picture, we don't get a background. So we got to go a little further back just to show you where Ekron is. Now, Ekron is mentioned with Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gaza. Okay, keep those in mind. Those are coastal. So the first place that is mentioned is in YAHUAH, Joshua chapter 13, verse 3. From Sahor, which is before Egypt, even unto the borders of Ekron northward, which is counted to the Canaanites, 5 lords of the Philistines. Now the Philistines was on another coastal city. They called it Ashkelon today. They were part of that. And Gazathites and the Ashdodites and the Ishkalonites and the Gittitites and the Ekronites. Also the Avites. Okay, in 1 Samuel 5:10, this is very important. This is probably the crust. Therefore, they sent the ark of Alahiym or Elohim to Ekron. Interesting. So this is where this whole concept is going to emerge from. And it came to pass, as the ark of Elohim came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of Elohim of Israel to us to slay us and our people. Okay, then when you go to 1 Samuel 6:16, and when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emeralds. Now, this right here, when you look in the ESV and other versions, it'll give you tumors. It'll give you hemorrhoids. So, and we'll see that. I'll show you that here in a little bit. Which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering. Now notice golden. So this is something they made. Offering unto YAHUAH for Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Ashkelon 1, for Gath 1, and for Ekron 1. Okay, so very interesting. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over here to our text. And we are going to do some reading. Okay, this is the first place. This is where the Ark of the Covenant was taken. 1 Samuel 4th chapter, 10th verse. And the Philistines fought, and Israel was smitten, and they fled every man into his tent. And there was a very great slaughter, for there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. And the ark of Elohim was taken. And the 2 sons of Eli, and Hophni and Phinehas were slain. Okay, now I have over here, this is the Septuagint, but I'm reading over here in the King James. Okay, now let's go read that story. And let's see here. I want to make sure we're in the... Let me go back. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm in the right place. Actually, I want to read 1 Samuel 5:1 first. Okay, so let's go down. Okay, it says, and the Philistines took the ark of Elohim and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. And when the Philistines took the ark of Alahiym, they brought it into the house of Dagon, that's the fish god, and set it by Dagon. And when they, now keep in mind, Ashdod is on the coast of Israel. They have Ashdod, Ashkelon, Haifa, just some of the older cities, not talking about Tel Aviv, but it was there too. That would be Rose Sharon. So it wouldn't be unfamiliar for them to have a deity that's a fish because they were on the sea. And when they of Ashdod arose early in the morning, behold, Dagon had fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of YAHUAH. And they took Dagon, set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon had fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of YAHUAH. And the head of Dagon and both of the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor any that came into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon and Ashdod until this day. Now, you might not. These images are still out here, and they're symbols and companies in various places. So I'm sure if you get a chance, do a little research. Do a little research on the different symbols that still have pagan origin. But the hand of YAHUAH was heavy upon them at Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with what? It's the same emeralds. Let's look it up. And I think I already got it over here, but okay, so look what it says. To burn a boil or ulcer from the inflammation, especially a tumor in the anus. Isn't that interesting? So what would, if you had some type of infection like that, what do you think is going to try to get in it? Flies or those type of insects that love those type of infestations or that type of environment. So this is very interesting. So they had some serious stuff going on here. Even Ashdod and the coast thereof. Now keep in mind, this is how this is developing. You know, think about Lord of Flies. So if this is happening to all the people there, then there's got to be a plague of flies, because they love that type stuff. It's almost like a dead carcass. Now the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, and they said, the ark of the covenant of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God, Almighty One. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them and said, what shall we do with the ark of the covenant of Israel? And they answered, let the ark of Alahiym of Israel be carried about to Goth. And they carried the ark of Alahiym of Israel from thither, and so it was, and it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of YAHUAH was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had hemorrhoids, or the Hebrew word there is ophel, in their secret places. Therefore, they sent the ark of Alahiym to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of Alahiym came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of Alahiym of Israel to us to slay us and our people. So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines and said, send away the ark of Alahiym of Israel. Let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not and our people. For there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city, and the hand of Alahiym was very heavy there. And the men that died not were smitten with emerods. And the cry of the city went up to heaven. Okay, now we're getting to the next verse, chapter. The Ark of the Covenant was sent to the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, what shall we do to the Ark of YAHUAH? Tell us, wherewith shall we send it to his place? And they said, if you send away the ark of the Alahiym of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering, a sham, then you shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, what shall be the trespass offering which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden. So here they're sending the very thing he struck them with. They're making golden images of it and sending it, and also 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. 1 plague was on you all, and on your lords. Therefore, if you shall make images of the emerods and images of the mice that mar the land, and you shall give esteem unto Alahiym or Alahiym of Israel, peradventure he shall lighten his hand from off of you, and from off your mighty ones, and from off your land. Wherefore then do you harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaohs hardened their hearts, when he had wrought wonderfully among them? Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore make a new cart. Now I want you to get what's happening. So they're combining. So they had a deity named Baal. That's what Baal means master, it means husband, has quite a few meanings. But they started turning this into a deity represented by a mouse, which when you have plagues and when you have certain conditions, mice will run rapid. And also these things, picture of the hemorrhoids or tumors that they had. They were made golden images of this. I want you to go research this, because you're going to find this is very interesting. Just how Israel when the fiery serpent was sent through Israel because they sinned, and Moshe had to put the serpent on a rod, and whoever was bitten by this serpent was healed. Well, you'll find years later that they started to worship the fiery serpent on the rod. So the same thing is happening here. Because YAHUAH struck them with this plague, now this deity develops, and they attach the name master of, and basically they were plucking off flies because these things were no joke. Master of tumors, or as the word implies, flicking. Remember, it talked about flicking of flies or stinging insects. So that's what they were doing. So this is how this deity emerges in combination with Baal. And so now you have it come over to the Brit Hadashah, and they're attributing, in one phase, some could say, that he's sovereign of, they were attributing him to being sovereign over the house. But I'm just giving you a couple of viewpoints. They're attributing him as being master or lord of flies based on this deity. So either way it goes, it's not a good thing. Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milk kine, on which there has come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart. Bring their calves home from them, and take the ark of YAHUAH, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewelry of gold which you return him for a trespass offering in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go. And see, if it goeth up by the way of his own coast to Beth Shemesh, then he has done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milk kine, and tied them to the cart, shut up their calves at home, and they laid the ark of YAHUAH upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the image of their emerods. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Beth-Shemesh, and went along the highway, lowering as they went, and turned not aside to the right or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the borders of Beth-Shemesh, and they of Beth-Shemesh were reaping their wheat in the valley. And they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Yahushua, a Beth-Shemite, and stood there. And where there was a great stone, and they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kind of burnt offering unto YAHUAH. And the Levites took down the ark of YAHUAH, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. and the men of Beth-Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices the same day unto YAHUAH. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emeralds, which the Philistines returned for a trespass unto YAHUAH. For Ashdod, for Gaza, for Ashkelon, for Gath, for Ekron, and the golden mice, according to the number of cities of the Philistines, belonged to the 5 lords, both of the fenced cities and the country villages, even unto the great stone of Abal, whereon they sat down the ark of YAHUAH, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Yahushua the Beth-Shemite. So, let's see. Okay, we'll finish reading. It's only a couple of verses. And he smote the men of Beth-Shemesh, because they had looked into the ark of YAHUAH. Even he smote the people 50,000 and 70 men. And the people lamented, because YAHUAH had smitten many other people with a great slaughter. And the men of Beth-Shemesh said, who is able to stand before this set apart YAHUAH Alahiym? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants Kirjabath Ramim, saying, the Philistines have brought again the ark of YAHUAH. Come ye down and fetch it up to you. So this is just a good background story so that you can see how these things combined and kind of developed. Now we'll go look at 2 Kings, the 1st chapter. So we'll start. We've read most part of this. But the angel of YAHUAH said to Elijah, Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, is it not because there is no Elohim or Alahiym in Israel that you go to inquire of Baalzebub, the god of Ekron? And notice where it is developed from. Okay, so we later on down the line. So it developed from what they developed a mighty one based on what happened to them when the Ark of the Covenant came into their region. And so, you know, all these deities develop like in similar fashion. Some of them develop from the fallen ones desiring worship. This one developed because of what YAHUAH did to them. Now therefore, thus saith YAHUAH, thou shalt not go down from that bed on which thou art gone up, but shall surely die. And Eliyahu Elijah departed, and when the messengers turned back unto him, he said unto them, why are you not turned back? They said unto him, there came a man up to meet us, and said unto us, go, turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, thus saith YAHUAH, is it not because there is not a Elohim in Israel that thou sendest for inquiry of Beelzebub, the god or mighty one of Ekron. Therefore, thou shalt not come down from the bed on which thou art gone up, but shall surely die. And he said unto them, what manner of man was he which came up to meet you, and told you these words? And they answered him, he was a hairy man, and girt with a girdle of leather about his loin. And he said that it is Elijah the Tishbite. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. He went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill, and spake unto him, thou art thou man of Alahiym? The king has said, come down. Eliyahu or Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be the man of Alahiym, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven, consumed him and the 50. Again also he sent unto him another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of Alahiym, thus has the king said, come down quickly. Elijah answered and said unto him, if I be the man of Alahiym, let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And fire came, and the fire of Alahiym came down from heaven, consumed him and his 50. He sent again a captain of the third 50 with his 50, and the third captain of the 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah. Boy, he got smart. Or Eliyahu, and besought him and said unto him, O man of Alahiym, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 of thy servants be precious in thy sight. Behold, there came fire down from heaven and burned up the two captains of the former 50 with their 50. Therefore let my life now be precious in thy sight. And the angel of YAHUAH said unto Elijah, go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king, and said unto him, thus saith YAHUAH, for as much as thou hast sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, god of Ekron, it is not because there is no Alahiym in Israel to inquire of his word. Therefore, thou shalt not come down off that bed on which thou art gone up, but shall surely die. So he died according to the words of YAHUAH, which Elijah had spoken. And Jeroboam reigned in his stead in the second year of Jeroboam, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, because he had no sons. So this is all to show you how Beelzebub or Beelzebub developed, where it came from. And just like certain deities developed out of Mitzrayim, you can go back and research it, because certain things happen. Different deities develop. So what I want you to do as an assignment, and you can send it to me, or you can just do it for yourself. I want you to start researching these different deities, how they are entrenched in our modern day society. It's be good research for you. Symbols. I'll give you one. just to get you kick started. Go back and research the emblem for Starbucks. Now they've scaled it down, but it definitely was a fish with the tail. But now you can't see it because and used to have the boobs showing. Now, one of the things you will see is that there's a play on male female, these deities. Some of them have just like the symbol with the goat is both male and female. So this is just something for you to educate yourself on. And it'll bring you up to speed so that you can start to see better what's going on. And a lot of our sport development has pagan underlying to it too. I know some of you love your sports, but when you start researching back, you know, where did sports come from? Where did these different games and all this stuff come from? How did they develop? So we've got to get back to what Messiah said. Who are my mother? And who's my mother and my sister, my brother? Or my mother and my brother? It's going to be they that doeth the will of Alahiym. You've got to figure out his will. And his will is to do his commandments. Some of us are starting out, so you're going to have a process of learning. But some of us have been in the walk a little bit longer. So we shouldn't be hitting our head like we used to hit our head. You know, we should understand Shabbat. You know, we should understand how to treat our brother and sister. We should understand about not spreading leaven through our words. We should understand all that stuff. So I got one other thing I want to check out with you. Now this is something in the Dead Sea Scrolls. By the power of Beelzebub, an Aramaic incantation formula from Qumran. So it doesn't quite exactly sound like that, but I want to read this part to you. Then I'm gonna go and read show you what's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The era of the second kingdom, the temple, was a magical time. A wealth of indirect evidence proves that on the popular level, magic was often a greater practical significance than were many aspects of the law of Moses. The intensity of the unseen spirit battle on which the common man might easily fall victim appears in Rabbi Hanna's well-known exegesis of Psalms 91:7. Everyone among us has 1,000 demons on his left hand and 10,000 at his right. Against these invisible legions of demons, magic offered a tangible, more material defense whose potential benefit a prudent individual could not afford to ignore. Thus, an understanding of magic is indispensable for a proper appraisal of Jewish or Yahudi civilization in those years. The problem for historians has been that the evidence is indirect. Very little in the way of incantations or books of magic dates securely to the years of the Second Temple. Most surviving Jewish magical material dates from the Byzantine period to the medieval period. Some pieces of uncertain date have tempted interpreters anxious to push back on the time of YAHUAH, commonly mistranslated as Jesus. They have argued for the Second Temple prevention. Nevertheless, the best augmentation is no substitute for a secure dating. Uncertain dating remains just that, uncertain. The only exception has been portions of the Dead Sea Scroll, many of which remain until recently unpublished. So what we're going to do is go down here, and this is what it looks like. This is the transcription. And here is the breakdown. Okay, there we see Beelzebub. You to you, the midwife, the punishment of childbearers, an evil visitant, a demon. I adjure you all who enter into the body, the male wasting demon, the female wasting demon. I adjure you by the name of YAHUAH, he who removes iniquity and transgression. O fever and chills and chest pains. Okay, then ... And forbidden to disturb by night in dreams or by day in sleep. The male shrine spirit and the female shrine spirit, breacher demons. So it's choppy, but you see reference here to Beelzebub in the text. And this is just the column 2, what they can make out before him and I, O Spirit, adjure you that I adjure you, O Spirit, that you on earth. So this is just to let you know, and you see something here. You see a male, female, interesting. And I adjure you by the name of YAHUAH. So, and what did it seem like the side effects? Oh, fever and chills, chest pains. So this was supposedly, they call it an incantation. Kind of looks like a prayer to some extent. But I just thought I found this, and I thought I would bring this to the table because it mentions Beelzebub. So with those sicknesses, what comes when you read Deuteronomy 28 and you don't keep his commandments and follow his word diligently? I just want to go there because I think it speaks volumes to us if we are going to be his people. I really need you to see. Now, some have said that the people did too much to us. Does the scripture support stuff like that? When you read what YAHUAH said he would do if you don't keep his commandments And when you go to Leviticus, the 26th chapter, starting at the 14th verse, if you didn't keep his commands, how he said he would multiply things against you. So just look at some of this. And YAHUAH shall make pestilence cleave to thee, until he has consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess. YAHUAH shall smite thee with consumption, with fever, with inflammation, with extreme burning, with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. They shall pursue thee until thou perish. So you don't think this is serious business, not keeping his commandments. You got another thought coming to you. If I was you, I'd be going through my house, making sure I don't have any symbols of any deities that I'm aware of. And I'd be praying, Father, if I got something in my house that's not like you, whether it's my physical house or whether it's this body that my soul is in right now, show me. See, many people aren't content. They have things. They'll have all these statues and things that are associated with witchcraft and voodoo and all this other stuff, and you wonder why something is happening. You know, a lot of these things represent, different deities. Yeah, you might not worship it as a deity, but if it's seen as one, I wouldn't take a chance. It'd be gone. Don't nothing mean that much that I'm going to try to hold on to it. So, just go back and read over this. What he's going to do. And look here. See, look at this. Here we go right here. And YAHUAH will smite them with the botch or boils of Egypt, and with the hemorrhoids or the hemorrhoids or tumors in the anus, if you want to go there, with scabs and with the itch whereof thou canst not be healed. YAHUAH shall smite thee with madness, with blindness, and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday. As the blind gropeth in darkness, thou shalt not prosper in thy way. And thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled evermore. And no man, listen to this, no man shall save thee. So we see it right here. Oh, that had to have been the YAHUAH. Thank you, Father, that led me back to this particular Deuteronomy 28, because I hadn't thought of this. So hallelujah, Father, for bringing us back over here. Apart. So it's time for you to now get it in gear. To start taking this walk and your time with the Father seriously. Because it's no joke. It's no joke. So I'm not sure which deity I'll do next, or if I'll even go that route, but we'll see. But we've got to wake up. We need a wake-up call to what's in our society, what is cleaving to our spirits. Because if we don't, then we're going to be in serious trouble. So, just a reflection, a reminder for us. Leviticus 18:26. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. So there are going to be strangers that sojourn among us. We can't commit these abominations. We got to keep his statutes and judgments. Deuteronomy 18:9. When thou art come into the land which YAHUAH thy Alahiym giveth thee, you shall not learn to do after the abomination of these nations. So we got to keep it in check. Now, I thought it was very interesting, Isaiah 66, verse 17. And those who sanctify and purify themselves to go into the garden, following one in the midst, eating pig's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall come to an end, declared YAHUAH. Now remember, the mouse was one of the things that in Ekron they offered with the tumors or the hemorrhoids. So keep that in mind. Abominations. So I was looking over here, have a good comment. Dagon is the mitre that the Pope wears. Yep, you can see it plainly. Just go out there and research. So I want to just quickly show you something. Okay, let's go to the Living Branch website. So I had some, now, in order for you to see the files that I have uploaded, you have to join the website. You won't get access to them. That's one of the benefits of joining the website. So when I'm going to sign in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to home. Now, because I upload the files, the best way to find the files is to scroll down and you'll see site stats, 2 files. And if you click on 2 files, it'll bring up the files that are available. The Dead Sea Scrolls Study Edition, and this is the Net Septuagint, which is a pretty good version of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So if you click on it, what it's going to do is going to bring up the file. Now if you look here, you don't see any way to download it. So what you do, you come over here. See right here? This right here is where you can download the file. And if you click download, it will ask you where you want to save it to or what you want to open it. It's a PDF file, and it will download it to your computer. Same thing for the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I'll be putting other stuff up there as I come across stuff that I think will definitely benefit you. Okay, so let's pray. Father, in the name of Mashiach Yahushua, I'm asking you to give us insight. Help us to purge ourselves from the practices of the nations. Father, we're so far removed from where you gave your commandments and statutes. So many things have been added to, subtracted from. our hearts and minds, we just seek your pure word, your pure understanding in humility. We're not boasting. We're not saying, bragging, saying we're this and we're that. We humbly come before you, asking you to show us, teach us, and guide us. Father, show us how not to be like the nations and how to be more like you. Our heart thanks you for it. Thank you in advance. Now, Father, be with us. Help us to do the things that are righteous in your sight. We give you praise, honor, and esteem. And I ask you to be with my Miss Bakar out there as they see. Keep them humble. Don't let them have a proud, boastful spirit talking about I'm a Hebrew or I'm an Israelite or I'm of that tribe. But Father, have them to have a spirit of humility, because you resist the proud, but you give favor to the humble. And only the humble, the meek, shall inherit the earth. Father, I give you praise. And I thank you. In the name of YAHUAH, through YAHUSHA HaMashiach, I pray. And bless your name. Hallelujah. Amen. All right, Mr. Picasso, we still have, if you want to check it out, the vocabulary over there where you can practice your words and build up your vocabulary. Okay, and I've added more books to the website, so definitely go over there and check them out. And don't forget the Hebrew 10 Commandments and also the Hebrew Passover story, teaching and training for your children. But they are bombarded with all types of TV shows that are using pagan deities. They are using the actual names of it, especially if they're in Japanese animation stuff. The names are there, calling on different spirits and different entities, open up different worlds, different little games. Protect your children, Miss Bakar, because if you don't, they will get sucked in. Okay, if you need a refill on bookmarkers, go to our website, www.bm.hebrewfoundation.org. And if you would like to support us, you can do so through Cash App, PayPal. You can send to our mailing address, or you can use our online giving tool, which will bring you here. It will track all of your giving, and if you do file stuff on your taxes, you'll get a statement at the end of the year. All right, Ms. Bakar, I hope this particular lesson was helpful. I know it was kind of, sometimes, when you're doing all the reading and stuff, it can get boring. But I think we need to know background information, and so that we can understand better. I'm doing more reading in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So hopefully down the line we will take on the task of trying to go through the Dead Sea Scrolls, look at some stuff, compare some stuff. So, but that is a work in it of itself. That's why I continue to solicit your prayers to that YAHUAH will give me understanding, wisdom, knowledge, humility, fear of Alahiym, all the things I need to grasp better, to teach, give his people understanding in these days. Okay, if you need to email me, you can send it to info@living-branch.org. Drop me a line. I try to email back. Shabbats, you probably won't get a response back. Usually tomorrow. Sometimes I respond back today. It just depends. So make sure you check out the path to YAHUAH this week at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, love you, Miss Bakar. This is Morey Medad YAHUAH saying unto you, Shabbat Shalom.